Right, well, it's dropped down in another 1 degrees, and I've had to go to the cab. Well, I've sent the cameraman to the cafe to get us a nice cup of coffee, because Tommy's on the tea, being a Yorkshire man, and I don't drink tea. Anyway, you keep telling me about this feeding and this catapult, so tell us.
Right.
Do tell us, how's it done?
Well, the feed for me is like the number one thing. People think it's chuck and chance, it's not. The only time you don't pick that up is usually when it's really, really, really cold. And then what you're looking for is the ball of fish that you can just cast into and sneak an odd fish. But there's always somewhere where I feed. Always, no matter what, even if it's cold and I'm casting to the fish, there'll be somewhere where I'll be using the catapult or firing some bait in, just in case the fish want to come into that area to feed. But
right, is that kind of like a way of priming other options?
Yes, because it's very rarely in the winter that you'll be fishing one spot.
Yeah.
Very rarely you'll be casting to different spots to find the fish. But I'll always be feeding 1 or 2 spots with a catapult, because when they want to feed, they become a lot easier to catch.
Okay.
But
so let's say you've fed 2 or 3 different areas. Yeah. You've had a couple of fish off one area, and then nothing.
Yeah.
It's time to move.
It's time to move. Yeah.
You go to another spot. You catch 2 fish very quickly, and then nothing. You've got to move again. How many spots have you got going?
It just depends on the size of your swim, really.
Right.
It just depends on the size of your swim. But even if I come off a spot, I usually keep feeding it. I'll never stop feeding that spot, because I think they get used to feed coming in, and what they'll do, they'll drift in and out. So what you'll do, you'll cast into one spot, get a couple, it goes quiet, you'll keep feeding it, go to your next spot, and you'll keep alternating and keep pinching 2 fish. And eventually what happens is you get used to how many fish you catch on that line.
Right.
So once you've caught, say it's 2, you've caught your 2, you'll automatically go to the next one then.
In a match scenario, yeah, you've not caught anything yet at all. You've gone on to your first spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long do you stay on there?
A cast sometimes.
Right.
Just one cast.
How long is that cast?
Well, it can be 15, 20 minutes in the winter. But this is why this is important now, when it's length of time. So when I'm feeding with a catapult, there's 2 things. There's a few things I'm looking for. First of all, the pouch is really important. And I want a pouch that's flat in the bottom.
Right. Why?
Because the pellets are sat in it, and that is narrow. So they actually go like that instead of like that.
Yeah.
A lot of pouches that go to a point in the bottom, the pellets go like that, so they spread a bigger area up. And I want it flat in the bottom. Now, years and years ago, I had something to do with that design. I know who designed that particular pouch, and that was the reason why. So you can put a few pellets, 4 or 5 pellets in, and they're flat. So when you fire them out, they go in a little bunch, probably 2 metres square, and they go on the surface. Now that's really important, that. So when I'm using the catapult, I never go to its maximum. I always go to 3/4, so I can lob them in the air, and they all go and they go like that on the water. That's really important.
Okay.
Right.
How much are you putting in there at this time?
Well, I'll come to that in a second. But if I pull it at its maximum, look where they go. All of it plays.
And a much bigger spread.
And a much bigger spread.
Yeah.
So 1, I'm not making that noise, and 2, look, there you go, 1 on, look. And all I'm looking for,
on cue.
all I'm looking for, 1 is that noise.
So I was going to say, I asked you this question earlier about the bomb, and you said to me, "Oh, that's a load of rubbish." But the pellets, they're more of a key, aren't they?
They're the more the key, but it's when you fire them in.
Is that because these fish are hearing this all year?
Probably they know what it is. They know it, perfect dinner bell. But it's easy to do that. But what's not easy is, and the hardest part is what I'm going to show you now. So once I get to this position, I've got my fish. I'm thinking of the next one.
Right.
Right. So
I'm just going to ask you: are you going to go back onto that same spot again now?
Well, yeah, I'll be going on the same spot because I've caught one. But how am I going to feed it? And there's 2 or 3 options that you can actually feed, and this is where the brain comes into head. Right. So when I'm catching lots of fish, and the fish are coming to the pellets, what I do 1 thing: do you feed before or after? And there's different variations now. So if I think there's a lot of fish in my peg, what I will do is I'm even picking the size of the pellet that I want. Because it's winter, I like the small 6mm on. But I'll get into this position where...
Now, are you fishing exactly what you're feeding?
Yes, when you fish pellet, usually that's the case, what you've got to do.
Right.
So in this case, it's a fishery pellet, just putting a 6 on, little 6. So this I'm thinking, right, there's a lot of fish there now.
Yeah.
So this is number 1. So what I'm going to do, before I cast out, I'm going to pick my catapult up, and I'm going to put 6 or 8 in.
Yeah.
I'm going to fire them.
Yeah.
I'm going to fire them in like that, and then I'm going to give them like 10 seconds before I cast in. So in other words, I think they're now 2 foot off the bottom.
Yeah.
And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put my bomb in the middle of them pellets.
Right over the top.
Over the top.
And that's kind of giving you a visual as well, hasn't it? For obviously, because you're not on a clip, you've got to have, you know, a visual on where there's no good feeding the pellets there and then casting over there.
Now, when in my head now, I think my bomb and pellet is landed the same
time as
they're on the feed. Sometimes when they're feeding, I'll get a bite now. So this is the only thing you've got to determine now. So now I've fed it, and then I'll sit there for 20 seconds, and if I haven't caught a fish, I'll pick my catapult up and I'll fire one more pouch full on top, like that.
Okay, yeah.
So they're going to go to the bottom now. So I've fed before and after. That's one scenario.
Yeah.
Okay? That's when I think I'm going to catch a good weight of fish. Sometimes I'm playing a fish now, so I won't even feed that second one because they've took it as it's hit the bottom because they've followed them pellets down. However, when you're fishing for 1 or 2 fish during the day, or maybe maybe 5 or 6, one every half an hour, and I'm leaving it in for a long time, 20 minutes or so, I don't feed like that. I feed it different.
Okay.
And the way I feed that then is completely different because you don't have to fire any in to start with. And this is where it's straightforward. I just go back, cast it in my little spot, sink the line. When it's hit the bottom, I just take my time, and I think I'm a very patient fisherman. And I'll sit there half an hour. As long as my hook bait's in the right spot, it won't bother me. So when I'm fishing for a few fish, I'll settle all that first. Then I'm going to pick my catapult up. And I'll put what I think the right amount is. It might be 2, 3, it might be 10. And all I do, I'll fire 1 and I'll fire 2. And I always fire 2. It's something I've always done on the same spot. 2 lots of noise.
Right.
I don't know why. All I know is that works better than 1. I always find that 2 like that is better than 1 with the same amount because you're making 2 noises and you get them falling through. So when there's lots of fish there, I'll feed, cast, put it down. If I ain't caught a fish on the drop, I'll then fire another pouch full in. And then what I'm trying to do is make that noise all the time. However, when you don't need to, when you just sat there, you can put the 2 in together. You don't have to waste any time really. And I find that's the best way.
Okay.
But
go into the second scenario then of where you're waiting maybe for 1 bigger fish or not so many fish. You've cast out into your area where you think they are, or where your starting spot is. You waited, nothing's happened. You've fed twice.
Yeah.
How long are you going to wait for?
Half an hour.
Right.
Oh no,
okay.
If I'm fishing, I am, like I said, I'm very patient. I'm not one of these that, but during that time I might have fed again. Like if I'm sat there for 10 or 15 minutes and I haven't had a bite, I'll pick my catapult up while it's still there and I'll still feed.
Okay.
And I always have a spot where I'm feeding, and I'll never change from that. The only time I change from that is if I'm like that and I think they're backed away, I'll still feed that area, but I might cast a bomb on the outskirts around it because I think the fish have backed off.
Yeah.
But I won't fire the pellets further because all the fish will do then is back off again, even further. So that spot will always be fed.
Is there a difference in feeding for specific species? And I'm talking about carp, big carp.
Yeah, not in winter
and
so much.
F1s. No?
Yeah, the size of the pellet is important.
Right.
So when I'm fishing just for F1s and I can get them there, I'll feed 4s. Obviously micros on a feeder, but I'll loose feed 4s. But if I can't get them, then I've got to use 6s. But if I'm fishing for carp, probably 6s and maybe even 8s, but definitely 6s.
Okay.
But if I'm fishing just for F1s, it'll be 4s.
Right.
If I can get them there. If I can't, then I've got to use 6s. But the key is I can cast the bomb over, but I don't change my feeding where I'm actually going to feed.
Right. Is there any truth in a match fishing scenario of utilising that bomb at the very start of the match before you fed anything to find fish?
Yeah, 100%.
I've often heard that people
100%.
cast in and you
Yeah.
go dink dink, and you hit them on the way down because they're not necessarily always on the bottom, are they?
Oh no! Once you find the actual shoal,
Yeah.
I mean, the fish just come up there. Look, right now, if I'm in a match and I see a fish top in there and I'm not getting on sand, I'll have a cast there.
Yeah.
Because that may be where what we call the stack. Because I think in the winter fish stack up like that from top to bottom. I don't think they're just all on the bottom. I think they actually stack, and you've got to find them. And it's amazing. The colder it is and the harder it is, you've got to find that stack. But I'll always feed one spot. I'll never stop feeding that in case the fish want to come. But with my bomb, I might have to locate them somewhere else because I just don't want to feed. But the last hour, what I call is the critical hour, is where most matches are won. That's when the fish want to feed, and that's why I'll always feed an area for that last hour.
Right. Prepping it. Yeah.
Because you've got other areas you can, like for example, I can pick that up when I've been feeding there,
Yeah.
and we've just seen a fish top there. So what I might do, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cast to me, take that, it's got a bit of lettuce on, and take that off. So what I might do, if this were a match situation, I've just and I haven't caught a lot, and I've seen a fish top, what I'll do, make sure I don't get in that tree,
Have a little look. Yeah.
go like that,
Yeah.
put the rod down,
Yeah.
and it's amazing when you're at what we call the stack, how it'll go into, and you'll get indications like that. But when I pick this up, I don't go in, I've just cast it, I'll go back out there. See, how about that?
Straight away.
Hey, see what I mean?
Now that's what a carp angler would do. When I say carp angler, I'm talking about a 3-rod carp angler. If you see a fish move, invariably you would cast it.
To, and I've just cast to where we're seeing that fish top,
Yeah.
and it's gone straight round now. That tells me that one, they don't want to come to bait,
Yeah.
but it don't matter, does it? I mean, that won't in a minute.
No, so it's making use of every possible, from a
Absolutely.
match perspective, it's making use of every possible scenario,
I'm-
every possible area.
Exactly.
It's all about catching fish, isn't it? at the end
It's
of the
not,
day?
that's all it's about.
Yeah.
You know, and at daylight,
Yeah.
there's a lot of area here that can back off.
Now, having had that one fish from there now, are you going to go back on that
Oh
spot
my!
again? Yeah.
Oh, 100%, because that's maybe where the stack is. But usually, what happens is usually when you find the stack, and you keep feeding out there, that tells me they don't want to come to feed. But if you put it in front of them, they'll eat it.
Take it, yeah.
But if I find some pellets there now, you can bet your bottom dollar they'll back off.
Yeah.
So I won't feed it, I'm just going to cast into it. I mean, I've not put a pellet there, but I've caught a fish within a minute.
All right. Now, another question for you. We were having a cup of coffee this morning, or a cup of tea in your case, in the cafe, and I said to you, do you ever look at moon phases and air pressure and things like that? Yeah? And you laughed.
Yeah.
Big carp anglers often follow moon phases, and they often follow pressure drops, pressure rises. Does that play any role in match, pleasure, commercial fishing?
Some of my
let
friends.
me give you a quick example.
Yeah.
You'd be, in my opinion, you're fishing in slightly deeper water out there because naturally the lake drops away.
Yeah.
Yet you've cast to the right here, and I would class that as shallower water.
Yeah.
And you've had a bite straight away. Yeah.
Yeah,
Why
it's
does that fish want to be in shallower water?
I think they're just back away from anglers and food. I don't know, but going back to your question, it's a great question because I've never took no notice on pressures, and I don't understand it, so I can't make it work. So I've never done that. But some of my friends are absolutely obsessed with it.
Another one.
See, I found a stack.
Yeah. So there's obviously a little pod of fish tucked away up in this
Absolutely,
corner.
yeah. I mean, both them were less than a minute, but some of my friends are obsessed with it. And at the moment, it's been quite high pressure, and the fishing's been really strange. And even I've put an app now on my phone to see what the pressure is. I don't really understand it, but I'm actually going to fall. I must be getting sad in my old age, as I call it. It's something I've never done because I don't understand it, but
I found it pretty key in bream fishing on natural waters,
Yeah.
where you get that mega high pressure, and you're blank, and you can go back there 2 days later when the pressure's dropped,
and catch.
and you can catch.
There's obviously something in it. There's no doubt. I don't understand it, so it's something I've never really been bothered about. But I've actually put the app on my phone now because, honestly, some of my friends, I listen to them and I go, oh God, fairies in the head. But even I've done it now. But
You heard it here first, folks. Tommy, you see Tommy on a bankside now, he'll be watching the pressure drop while he's fishing a match.
I must have a fairy sneaked into my head. But what's just happened is the perfect winter day.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah. But that's about being an active angler and being aware and looking for them, because again, I see so many pleasure guys, and there's a few lads out today, and I'll be honest with you, looking around, they're not catching large amounts, they're not catching consistently.
No, because they're chucking it same spot. They're
Exactly,
not, winter fishing's about location of fish. That's the first thing. It really is. And it's locating them is the key. And if you find that stack, now what'll happen is, typical winter, I'll chuck there, maybe catch 2 or 3 fish, and then I won't catch them.
Yeah.
So what you've got to do is not keep chucking there.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the might have backed off 2 metres. So you're looking for the stack. I mean, I want to cast there if I'm to see that fish top.
Mm.
So that were the sign. Chuck there and had 2. Whereas where I'm feeding and fishing,
Oh, another bite.
so we're straight onto
That's
stack like
literally
that.
3 fish in less than 5 minutes.
That's right.
That
out
can
there,
mean an awful lot of difference in a match.
and I ain't find anything in there yet, which sums up winter fishing absolutely perfect. But one thing I will do, and that's why I'll always keep feeding that area, just in case they want to feed. So it gives me 2 options. So, and this is why I have. I have different. Why I have that bomb where I can cast to different spots. For example, if I saw a fish top there, I'd probably cast to it. The sign were there, and I've just caught 3 in no time. So it's typical winter fishing. I nearly put that in. It's just typical winter fishing.
Let's catch a few more, and we'll go and get another cup of coffee because I'm freezing, and we'll come back and catch up with Tom in a bit.